I wanted you to share some of that stuff, but in the context of the collision of ancient and modern cultures, because it was perfectly, really beautifully described by this woman who wrote an article in The Guardian. And this woman from
Okay.
Uganda, Patience Akumu, she wrote this amazing article, says, being a mother in the West would be a dream, I thought, but compared with Uganda, it was a nightmare. And then her little subtitle is, nothing prepared me for the reality of mothering without my extended family to help. How have Western women managed like this for so long? So, man, we have to talk about this. And a lot of the collapse of fertility rates, a lot of the frustration and isolation that mothers and new mothers experience, a lot of this is recent and is created by very recent cultural transitions that happened before, most of us listening or to this podcast were born, maybe before our parents or even grandparents were born, but they do not exist in the ancient past. If you go past 150, 200 years, and they certainly don't exist in these ancient cultures. So I'm going to read some of this. I just want to do sort of a reading of this article. April, get your thoughts. I think this is so insightful what she says here. And then, so I'll do a first reading, get your thoughts, and then we'll read the rest of the article because this is so helpful. All right, this is what Patience writes. She says, I hear the baby crying in my sleep. My mother hands him to me. I sit up to breastfeed without opening my eyes. Then I hand him back. I know that when I'm ready to get out of bed, there will be fruits and katogo. I'm going to mispronounce everything here. A meal of plantain mixed with all the fatty meat cuts my mother could lay her hands on, waiting for me. Or I could choose to have porridge. It is a sacrilege to have a nakawiri, that means new mother, I guess, in Ugandan, in the house and not have a flask of hot porridge available for her all day. Nakawiri, the syllables are pronounced slowly and the word must roll off your tongue. It's not happening for me. With awe at the woman who just went through the remarkable ordeal of bringing life. Awesome opening paragraph. Replaying my new mom experience became my favorite pastime when I moved from Uganda to Switzerland in May last year. I moved with my husband and two children aged 6 and 12 because I found my dream job in health advocacy. I was not ready for the parenting nightmare that came with it. While I had lived in Europe before, including in the UK in my 20s, I never had to live outside Uganda with my family. Nothing prepared me for the reality of mothering without the extended family to help take care of you and the nonchalance with which the Western world treats mothers. There were no cheers for me when I made it to the bottom of the staircase without stepping on a toy car. The audience remained silent when I managed to get my 6-year-old son to sit still through a 1-hour journey. In Uganda, someone in the matatu or shared taxi might at least whispered a compliment. What a disciplined child you have. They might have even offered to carry him so that I didn't have to pay the fare for two. Narratives on African motherhood often depict a life of labor and impoverishment as the woman tries to raise more children than she can afford, in most cases single-handedly. But not much is said about the systems that have developed to enable women across the different echelons of African society to cope. You never hear the story of how it is normal for a mother to drop off her 5 children at a neighbor's house for an entire day without notice as she goes to do her hair or to the market. No one explains that the aggrandizement, such as the title of Nakawiri and the care given to a new mother for up to a year after she has given birth, is community recognition and reward for a woman's unpaid care work. As we settled in Switzerland, it was scary for my husband and me to realize we were not just parents anymore. We had to be teachers, chipping in with formal and informal education. There were no elder cousins to help with the homework or aunties to share folk tales that carried moral lessons. The system requires parents to be everything to their children and still, somehow, maintain a semblance of a sane life and career. All right, I'm going to pause there. So, April, what does that stir up for you?
The very powerful juxtaposition between the two cultures. I love hearing people that have experienced such a different culture from ours with becoming a mom, because it's so hard to imagine. Um, what she described is this, if you actually practically can see what's going on, that if she heard the baby crying in her sleep and someone was handing her the baby, that means her mom was like
Right there.
sleeping in the same room or
Yeah.
sleeping in the next room that could hear the baby. She was right there, physical proximity. That there would be She would be up before the new mom to make the fruit or make the meal that she feels is so nutritious and delicious for the new mom, that's going to just be what she needs to nourish her new baby. Um, these are beautiful depictions of roles that, well, a role that a grandmother would have, and perhaps maybe some aunties as well, or a great grandmother, maybe. So I think that there are so many, like you said, kind of like if we can go back and back and back and back, you can see the unraveling of why this is no longer a thing in our society in America, or if it is, it'd be super rare. So it's what I would call the breakdown of the family over time and the fragmentation of the family, so that we have a bunch of individuals that are springboarding into their own desires. Um, and we're now living in the consequences now that we're seeing with like the falling birth rate and people not even wanting to get married anymore and things like that, or even wanting to have children. This is the long-term consequences of these types of things. So anyway, I have really um been stepping into this role of grandmother, uh the postpartum help. I did take a doula course in order to be able to better assist in my daughter's births. Um, it was super helpful and very educational, and I value it very much. The understanding that I gained during that time that I get to implement it with my daughters is very special. And the idea of dedicating my time right now at this stage of my life, where when my peers are, um, their kids are like off at college or graduating from college, they're out of the house, spread across the country, in different states. And it just would make sense in that narrative for someone in my stage of life to just be like, okay, sweet, finally, like now is when I just get to think about myself and, the different conversations that we hear, like the different Michelle Obamas of the day, who just is like, it's me time, whatever I want, so for me, the continuation of the selflessness of motherhood continues on into grandmotherhood.
Yeah.
So you're still a mother, you're
Yes.
just a grandmother.
Right.
And so it's like this dignified, kind of elevated, not in a like a cocky way, but like a respectful way, like an understanding of I have gone before you and I have lived long enough and God has allowed me to still be here. So I have gained all this wisdom and I'm still here. And if you will let me, I would love to bless you with that and pour it out onto you.